From Fortnite's famous banana being stolen and causing a ripple effect to Greek gods unleashed, the island becoming a wasteland, and the arrival of the greatest supervillain of all time, Dr. Doom, leading into the return of Chapter 2. Grab your snacks and popcorn because this time we're talking about the whole story of Fortnite Chapter 5 to uncover the game's biggest mystery ever. To understand all this, we need to go back to the Big Bang event. Fortnite OG followed Agent Jones in an attempt to extract the 0 point from Chapter 1, all while no changes to the future were allowed thanks to the instructions of Dr. Slow. We saw him slowly move the stolen time machine from place to place until eventually he put it on top of the rocket in order to recreate the Chapter 1 end event, but this time with a twist. After the rocket hit the 0 point, multiple galaxies were unleashed in the Fortnite universe, making the brand new island just one of many places to visit. On this new island, Jones was the only person with the knowledge of the 0 point as well of past events that occurred like Zero War. This made him an easy target, and it didn't take long for the villains of Chapter 5 to reveal themselves. That takes us to Season 1 of Chapter 5, where we were introduced to the Society, a faction that's existed for a long time and has been pulling strings from the shadows on the new island. Each of their members has a crucial role. Montauk was a thief obsessed with diamonds and also the very founder of the society itself. Nisha was described as an honorable duelist in a dishonorable society, as her family and their base of operations at Fencing Fields has been one that's been there for generations. Then we have Oscar, a cold-blooded hunter, but you can't forget Peter Griffin, who canonically sided with the bad guys. But the most important member of the society is their leader, Valeria, a manipulator with a desire to uncover powerful ancient artifacts and seek knowledge. In her very first loading screen, she could be spotted studying the 0 point and a box that would end up being very crucial throughout Chapter 5. This new story began when the society kidnapped Jones's best friend Peely under Valeria's orders in order to have some leverage. Valeria knew that to find what she was searching for, she needed to take someone such as Jonesy with infinite knowledge on such artifacts and make them desperate. To take revenge, Vengeance Jones decided to join the Underground, a team led by him and Valeria's younger sister Hope, who's this chapter's main character. She'll come up more later, but Hope wants to make things better for the island by defeating the society for once and for all, as nobody should have this much power in their hands. But she also wants her sister to change her mind before it's too late. Towards the end of that season, after placing multiple missing posters trying to find Peely, Jones learned the society's been moving him around in their fortresses. Peely was kidnapped, and this leads to Jones going on a rampage against each society boss, taking every single one of them down one by one until he eventually found out that Fencing Fields is where Nisha kept Peely. He then proceeds to storm it and manages to rescue his favorite pal, leaving the field in flames. Valeria, however, has left the society to fend for herself as she has a higher goal. She's been obsessed with the strange artifact in her book, and she's been going all around the island setting up a telescope in different places in order to observe, but she chooses one place in all of the island to settle, and that's Ruined Reels. Valeria's been looking for the mythical Pandora's box with origins from ancient Greek mythology, and she's willing to stop at nothing to find it. We're still in Season 1, and at that same time, the island saw the arrival of an unknown yet somewhat familiar character. The Odyssey skin could be found at Ruined Reels, and she was described as an ageless spirit of adventure. This line, alongside her helmet and look, have led us to believe that the Odyssey was a traveler associated directly with the Ageless, a snapshot of Fortnite's biggest villain ever, Geno. The Odyssey helped us to assemble the mosaic, an image of unknown origin with pieces of it scattered around the island and its ruins. She would also tease that in her investigation, she's realized that the medallions held by the society would hold an ancient power within them, a power that was beyond anything we'd ever seen. The mosaic would be completed soon, revealing a three-headed dog known as Cerberus from Greek mythology, making it more and more clear that what Valeria was about to leash on the island was a raw power of the ancient gods. Soon, people started to notice a change on the island, as next to Ruined Reels, where Valeria had placed her telescope, was now a giant earthquake crater, and what laid underneath it would begin a domino effect in the story that we're even now feeling the repercussions of. The crater began to cause more earthquakes more and more frequently, to the point where it even reached the stage of it being filled with lava. After all of the earthquake cracks were filled with lava and fuming, in a spectacular live event, a giant titan hand burst out of the ground, holding the infamous Pandora's box that was drawn back in Valeria's book. The titan hand itself led to many theories, leading people to think that this was the titan Atlas, who could have been holding the Chapter 5 island on his back all along. After that, the titan hand had served its one and only purpose, to guard Pandora's box from being found, especially by the likes of Valeria. For the first time, we could see it hanging from the chains, but players had the ability to shoot it in order to break chains and free it. This was achieved almost instantly, leading to the box falling to the ground free of its restraints and finally opening up. Rumor has it, in Greek myth, when the box opened, it unleashed all kinds of curses upon mortal kind, until only hope remained at the bottom of it, and the same was about to happen to the island. Once opened though, the box unleashed a massive tornado filled with the souls from the underworld. On top of it though, players couldn't help but notice that the box had 4 figures carved on it. One was Zeus, king of the Olympian gods, the second was Hades, ruler of the underworld, alongside his trusted guard Cerberus, and the fourth one was Ares, god of war. But nothing could have prepared us for what followed in Fortnite Season 2. With the launch of the Myths and Mortals storyline, we were introduced to our protagonists. The Pandora's box unleashed 2 new biomes on the island, one being the graces of Zeus itself, and the other one on the other side being the underworld, and the River Styx guiding all the souls to it. We immediately learned that Zeus, the king of gods, had been enraged due to the opening of Pandora's box and plans to end all of mortal kind unless we stop him. Of course, our powers would be nothing compared to those of a god, so to put an end to his plan, our mission was to recruit as many of the immortals to our cause. Aphrodite, the daughter of Zeus, was the first to see the value of the mortals and decided to take a stand against her father to protect us, being the goddess of love. Things only kicked up from there, because assisting our cause is an unlikely helper, a character named the Oracle. She works for the god Apollo, who would later on reveal that even the Oracle herself was immortal as well. However, now in her water form, she has the ability to foretell the future in very mysterious ways. She's the one to tell us that Zeus's anger on mortals and his plan to end them, but she assures us if we manage to persuade more immortals to the cause that we can defeat Zeus before it's too late.
So Zeus wants to end mortal kind. Obviously, no immortal will be able to stop him alone. But if we can unite under the leadership of a true hero, humanity might survive his wrath.
This isn't all though, because at the very end she reveals a prophecy that even to this day is yet to fully come true. She warns us as she looks to the future, seeing what she describes as darkened skies and choking dust overtaking the island, with hope being lost and found again.
Darkened skies, choking dust, hope lost and found again.
You'll want to remember that, because this was the cause of Pandora's box, which would now be spotted lying dormant at the River Styx after it unleashed the entirety of the underworld, but little did we know it would soon become more important than ever. As for the Titan hand though, with Season 2 it was now completely decayed, meaning whoever the Titan was no longer active. We got his skin later on that reveals that the hands are actually not connected to his own body, meaning the Titan could have been somewhere else the entire time, with only his arm being under the island, but if you look closely at his chest you can instantly spot the 0 point. This led many to believe that this foreshadows the end of Chapter 5, meaning the Titan will awake once again, and since the 0 point's his heart, potentially destroy the island entirely in a spectacular live event. And we know there's a big one planned towards the end of this chapter thanks to the leaked roadmap. In Greek myth, there was a war between the Olympians and Titans after the gods abused their powers. The battle shook the world and ended with the Titans being banished to the underworld. What's even crazier here though is that there's hidden details on the map that showed this was something that happened to the Fortnite island between seasons 1 and 2. All around the map, especially in the Olympus and underworld biomes, there's giant weapons and signs of damage in buildings that tell a story from another era. It's clear that the battle of gods and titans took place sometime before season 2 began, after both were unleashed from Pandora's box. However, while we were all busy trying to understand all the new secrets on the island, the biggest secret of them all was hiding in the depths of the underworld's castle. The biggest mystery in the storyline had been of Midas completely vanishing from the island after the device event where he was eaten by a shark. A lot of Midas variants emerged after this, but they were only snapshots of him in the loop. To give some backstory, the real one was gone, and his trustworthy crew, the Shadow faction, including Marigold and his daughter Jules, had been on the lookout for him ever since. In season 2, in a surprising turn of events, it's revealed that Midas had been held prisoner at the underworld by Hades all along, since he died when eaten by the shark. But even Midas knew that Hades was not the first to try to keep him trapped, and the mastermind with the golden touch began to plot his own escape. The chains of Hades suppressed his golden touch, so the moment a guard unshackled one of his hands, he used his free hand to turn the other shackle gold and made his escape after eliminating the guard. In his cell, the only things found after were the broken chains of Hades and his reboot card, as well as a golden shark, meaning Midas really did get his revenge in the end. At the same time, his only crew is on the island looking for him, and they've been taking over the Marigold yacht, which they stole from the society. Everyone's nervous about Midas's final return, like Brutus, who Midas suspects had betrayed him, but he ends up being wrong and the two reunite. Jules, however, isn't excited about her father's return, as her trust was lost at a very young age. Just just like the legends, when Midas' daughter was young, he accidentally turned her to gold. Immediately, he tried to find ways to fix her until eventually he did, but broke her in the process, and it was never the same after. After all that, Jules, his daughter, was still willing to help him, but with his golden curse by creating gauntlets that would suppress his gold touch at will. This bit confused many fans, and we've previously seen Midas use his gold touch at will during the short cinematic in Chapter 2 Season 2. It seems like his story was changed to fit this new narrative. With his return, the Agents of Shadow decided to forgive one another for what had happened between Ghost and Shadow in Chapter 2 Season 2, a reference to their big fight on the island, but now with their leader back, they were awaiting new orders. The island was too small for Midas' ambitions though, so he and his crew decided to flee on the Marigold ship, and they haven't been back ever since, foreshadowing Chapter 2 OG. Around the same time though, we began to learn what happened to the Underground faction, where their leader Hope could now be found at Grand Glacier after defeating Montauk. She revealed that after the Society was defeated and there was no more need for the Underground, her and Jones were still active and planning to take down Zeus, frustrated that they had just defeated one villain only for another to appear. Hope blames her sister Valeria for starting all this, and Hope had to be the one to undo every bad move she had. One of the most important questions we've ever had though is where Valeria went after unleashing the Titan Hand. The answer is still unclear, but multiple of her past associates revealed that she'd mysteriously vanished using resources of her and Hope's family. As for the Society faction itself, after they were taken down by Jones, they were attacked by gods of Olympus, and their fate remained unclear but likely didn't end well. As we went on, we tried to recruit even more immortals to our side like Artemis, Medusa, Cerberus, and we even managed to persuade Hades, who even though is the king of the underworld, still valued the mortals' lives. In doing so, Zeus's wrath became more and more clear, and he wasted no time. He began installing hourglasses on the island that contained his immortality and would count down until the end of all mortals. It's then that the Oracle discovers that the power within the Olympians is not absolute and that their immortality can be taken away.
It has a source, and that source can always be destroyed.
Zeus made the mistake of placing his immortality inside of the hourglasses around the island, which led to us being able to destroy them and take away his immortality for once and for all. It wasn't time to celebrate yet though, as soon something much worse was coming to the island. As we went to the Oracle to congratulate us for Zeus's defeat, she revealed there was a greater threat on the horizon. The final prophecy she ever gave us warned us of blackened skies and the arrival of a character called the Wanderer, someone who would end up being the focus of Chapter 5.
Darkened skies, choking dust.
In the end, Zeus suffered a terrible fate, being left as a mortal, the very thing he despised and wanted to destroy. Driven by his rage, he had one last trick up his sleeve, which would literally change the island and become the beginning of the Oracle's final prophecy. Using his final bit of power, Zeus activates the giant statue above Mount Olympus, as clouds around it start charging up with lightning. The blade held by the statue also starts charging up with a blue glow, and when it's fully charged up, Zeus launches an attack on Pandora's box. The statue raised its arm up in a fit of anger and fires a strong lightning beam that strikes the box but doesn't destroy it. Instead, the yellow orb at the center of the box starts to slowly fill up. This would repeat over and over as the statue would strike the box a few more times until unexpectedly a huge change happened, giving us a hint at the fact that a big event was taking place. As the Oracle predicted, storm clouds began to gather around the statue and they started to become a lot more gray than usual. The statue itself began its final charge as it was now glowing red instead of blue, meaning Zeus was going to unleash his final blow. Yet again, the statue raised its sword high up in the air and red lightning strikes Pandora's box, completely filling up the yellow orb in the center. At the time, we didn't know what this liquid was, but it doesn't matter because Pandora's box is now overcharged and the yellow orb in its center begins to glow uncontrollably until the box becomes a burst of pure energy and begins to hop across the map until it reaches the ocean, where in a cinematic climax it exploded, creating a dark giant cloud surrounding it. As this came closer and closer though, we realized that it wasn't just a cloud, it was a massive sandstorm and it was headed straight to our island. In it, there was a blinking red light which ended up being Morse code. When translated, it had two messages. The first one was no hope, a reference to the fact that the Oracle said hope would be lost and found again. And the second was get wrecked, foreshadowing Fortnite Season 3's title. Soon after, the red light inside the sandstorm disappeared, leaving everyone confused, but just a few days later we would see exactly what we're dealing with. Just as we thought we'd seen it all, a small boat emerged from the sandstorm. This ship was shaped just like a shark, and it was the red light that had been blinking the Morse code messages all along. With every day, it got closer and closer, and people started looking at it a lot more intuitively, with some thinking it could be a big garage, a car's stronghold. This was proven correct by the short teaser trailer for Fortnite Wrecked, showcasing the ship crashing at the island shores and a mysterious figure in charge of the ship who a lot of you might already know. But before we dive into that, like and subscribe subscribe for more, because things are gonna get crazy. This season, he began relaxing on the island after successfully defeating Zeus and rescuing Peely, and now watching the sunrise on a grateful universe. And this, of course, is Jonesy. Approaches NPC, and to your face, he'll say that he's more of the strong and silent type. If this sounds familiar, it's because it is. Everyone remembers the Visitor, who was heavily involved in Fortnite's storyline. We originally had him introduced and known for his mysterious personality, leaving everyone scratching their heads as to who he might be. During Chapter 3, he was preparing the rockets for their launch, but he would announce that he was retiring, and just a few months later, Donald Mustard, the creative director of Fortnite himself, retired, so the similarity between Donald Mustard and Fortnite's Visitor character were uncanny. This seems entirely unrelated, but if you talk to the Visitor during that season, his description denoted that he was the strong and silent type. This is the exact same thing he's saying now, which has led to many fans revisiting the old theory of Jonesy slowly becoming the Visitor with a bit of time travel involved, like we saw in the Big Bang event, and it may actually be more than simply a theory this time. That doesn't even scratch the surface, as there's another neat little detail. Jones also does the card drop emote, and the card he throws down will actually stay in place. This typically resembles an individual's banner icon, and for Jones, Epic actually made it so it's the Underground's logo, the faction which he was a part of in Season 1. After they were sidelined last season, they've returned in this one with voice lines too. Their main goal this time around is to stop Megalodon's pipeline from reaching his ship and to take on the Wasteland Warrior factions. Hope reveals she considers herself responsible for her sister's actions, a callback to Valeria unleashing Pandora's box back in Season 1. After defeating the Society and the Gods of Olympus, her and Jones have one more enemy to defeat, and to do so, they need to find the very thing that started this. Rewinding a bit, in Fortnite Season 3, Megalodon arrived to the island, and from the opening trailer, we can deduce how he was created. You see, no one seems to remember, but in this cinematic, you can almost see him toss the silhouette of a character to the side. This character that he throws is none other than the Chaos Agent, who's a mad scientist who lives primarily on the Chapter 2 island and in Slurpee Swamp. In this scene, Megalodon may seem to be in a position of power in the shark ship, but really, he's not. Because a lot of people have drawn connections between the new nitro and other substances on the island like slab juice, but most importantly, slurp. If we go back in time to the Chaos Agent's appearance in other Fortnite trailers, you can spot him in a similar environment. Specifically, the Slurp Legends short trailer where he's jumping in celebration in the background after successfully infusing characters with slurp. Amidst that same time frame, another outfit was released. This was Big Chuggus, who from the Chaos Rising loading screen we can spot in another one of Chaos Agent's monitors. That means it was one of his experiments, and if you take a close look at Megalodon and Big Chuggus side by side though, you'll realize that these two look almost identical to one another, and both were created by none other than the Chaos Agent. That's why we see the Chaos Agent being thrown to the side in the opening cinematic. The only difference between Chaos Agent and Big Chuggus is that they're alternate snapshots, one infused with slurp and the other with nitro to save their lives. But it looks like the nitro overloaded Megalodon to the point of him becoming even stronger than his own creator, which is why we see the Chaos Agent being choked out in the trailer. This is a reality in which instead of doing slurp experiments, Chaos Agent has done nitro ones, and now he pays the price. Moving on though, the prophecy given by the Oracle revealed darkened skies and choking dust would overtake the island, and they did. The giant sandstorm made the sky completely dark, and choking dust covered the map in the form of the sand. As the prophecy states, now hope will guide us through it all, but this time it's talking about the character. Hope has overtaken a house at Sandy Steps, which is filled with cool references and giving us a look at what will be happening soon. Inside of her room are two important artifacts. One is the book Valeria studied in Season 1 of the chapter to learn more about Pandora's box in the first place, and the second is the gem holder, an object very similar to the box itself, which might be used to locate where the box went after it sunk, since it looks like a compass. In the prophecy, it's also stated Hope will be lost and found again. This is referencing the box, which has already been opened once, and it may be opened a second time when it's found in this season for Hope to truly remain. With the box closing, the gods have made their own escape in Season 3, except for some who hint at even more arrivals. With Zeus's defeat, he was overthrown by Jones and Hope, taking over his throne at Mount Olympus. Defeated and with no immortality, he left alongside the rest of the gods except for Artemis and Cerberus. NPC dialogue reveals Cerberus was left behind by Hades to guard Grim Gate and prepare for the arrival of the Underworld's queen Persephone, who is coming to the island for her summer vacation, who we'll see shortly. Artemis, on the other hand, has remained at Mount Olympus as she believes the wasteland brings a nice change of pace to the island and is growing fond of mortals. This brings us to the big threat of Season 3. The Oracle ominously warned us of a character named the Wanderer, who will soon draw near. At first, they were nowhere to be found until players spotted a spray in various locations depicting a mysterious cloaked character. Not only that, but inside of the Battle Pass loading screen, you can see the very same cloaked character riding in a car in the background, and it looks like there's a very cryptic approach as to who they are, littered with question marks. That, however, hasn't stopped players from theorizing, and there's a theory that's perfectly lined up with the future of Fortnite as we know it. Next season's set to be themed after Marvel once again, which we already know thanks to the leaked roadmap, and storyline experts have pointed out incredible similarities between the Wanderer and Marvel's very very own Doctor Doom. It's not too far-fetched if you think about it, and supporting the series is that season 4 is going to be based off of a Fantastic Four comic in which Doctor Doom is the big antagonist. And let's not forget that he just so happens to be a personal favorite of Charlie Wren, who's the new creative chief officer at Epic Games, who's responsible for making the story. One thing's clear, and that is that the Wanderer isn't under the protection of Megalodon, and Megalo's plans for the island aren't simply for him to conquer it. You might have come across an indestructible pipeline extending from Redline Rig trying to reach the brutal beachhead POI. This pipeline will keep extending throughout season 3 until it reaches the Leviathan ship. Megalo wants to ravage the entire island with his ship, but reaching the island wasted all of the ship's nitro fuel. So once the pipeline reaches it, the ship will be ready to move once again. At the same time, another important detail was lying on top of the snowy mountains. A new secret bunker's been added, and when players went nearby, they could hear some very creepy banging noises, confirming someone was trying to get out. Look closely though, and players had noticed claw marks across the bunker. We weren't yet sure what they could end up being, but it did open, revealing the secrets inside, which would play a critical role into the story build-up for season 4. And just when we all thought there were enough secrets on the island, a change on the map took us all by surprise. Mysteriously and out of nowhere, rift beacons started sprouting up, resembling the ones built by Stark back in Chapter 2 Season 4. These turned out to be very different, as they didn't have the Stark Industries logo on them though. Instead, they were built by Magneto to scan the island for the 0 point and call in reinforcements, which we'll touch on later. Because before Magneto's reinforcements come in, we have to dive into Pandora's box. The constellations from it are back in Season 3, with Hope slowly fielding this gem holder artifact that she stored inside of her house with these gems. Her goal is to collect them all, but while experiencing headaches and fatigue as she finds them, it becomes clear that she has a mysterious connection to the box, and to understand it, first we need to look at the Wanderer's arrival on the island. Because at this point in Season 3, Fortnite has become super creepy, with characters literally being stalked by an unknown ghost-like figure, which could be a reference to the game's oldest legends. Let me explain. The season's quests have a side story of figuring out who or what is the character called the Wanderer, who was first mentioned in the Oracle's prophecy in Season 2. We all know this began at the start of the season, where multiple sprays of an unknown hooded figure could be found in different POIs, and they could even be spotted in this Battle Pass loading screen. Since then, things have escalated in new quests, because there's some NPCs around the map, and you can ask them if everything's normal, and it seems there's weird activity going on to some of their answers. Many characters are terrified after they report being watched by a hooded figure lurking in the darkness, but they vanish once they turn to get a good look. This is building up to what we were warned about in Season 2, a power stronger than even the gods of Olympus, and this mystery figure is going to be revealed very shortly. Here you can see this mysterious shroud of darkness surrounding what we know as the Wanderer, but what's even crazier is that his appearance on the island alone can distort the reality around him, hinting at the fact that whoever he is a powerful entity. But now, opening out of the snow is finally one of this season's grandest reveals. Inside the bunker lies the Weapon X lab, a place where mankind enhanced Wolverine's mutant abilities. He's getting a new outfit soon, and the shot background has a secret teaser showing pages from the Zero War featuring Wolverine and the Imagined, foreshadowing that Wolverine might actually be the one leading us in the war against the Wanderer next season in order to exact his revenge. Freeing Wolverine from his prison was of course none other than this season's bonus Battle Pass skin Magneto, who has a crucial role this season because thanks to him we may know where the 0 point is. This thing is the core of Fortnite, and of course I'm talking about the 0 point, which was last seen in Season OG and never mentioned since. That was up until we got some new voice lines by Jones himself in the new update, who was behind the extraction of the 0 point in OG and the Big Bang event itself. The big question everyone was asking is if the 0 point still exists on the current map, and if so, where is it? And we might have an answer. Jones explains that during the Big Bang event he got lost inside the 0 point, as you can hear here.
When I got lost in the 0 point, I got all the way lost, so just leave it alone.
Which lines up with us seeing him appear in the live event for a brief moment after the 0 point's explosion. The reason he reveals that is because Hope is eager to find the Pandora's box, because she feels like she wants it to be found, and in the wrong hands power like that could have devastating results.
And worst case, it falls into the wrong hands. The box wants to be found. I can feel it.
Jones, on the other hand, has had his experience with the IO exploiting the 0 point, so just like the 7 once believed, he claims that the power like that is better off if it's left untouched. This might mean that the 0 point does exist somewhere on the map right now, potentially under the central lake, and is left alone for now. With next season being Marvel, it won't be too far-fetched to think some villains will want to exploit the 0 point's power like we've seen Galactus do, so as the season progresses, we may get to know more about where the 0 point's been all this time, and what'll be happening once both it and Pandora's box box, two powerful objects appear on the same island. These are elements that are going to change Fortnite's storyline for the coming seasons. Before that happens, there's only one person who could prevent the Wanderer's plans from taking shape, and that's Hope, who in the latest quest makes some shocking reveals about herself and her powers. After she asks us to get Pandora's gems left behind by the box before it vanished, she reveals that they're extremely powerful to the point where she feels a strange connection.
Something about being around these gems, it makes me feel, I don't know, nauseous, but in a good way.
That strange connections led her to having visions of the future that she doesn't want to discuss with the Jones because she believes we're close to a good ending. This just isn't further from the truth, because as the prophecy from season 2 revealed, there soon will be a war with the Wanderer and Hope will be lost, yet found again, hinting at her development an entire season back. To succeed these plans, Hope will first have to face Megalodon, who has his own fair share of secret voice lines in game, revealing a lot about the Wanderer. Available now only in specific languages are secret Megalodon transmissions that you could hear while in a car. He tells us not to bother the Wanderer if we see him on the island because he has an important matter that he has to resolve, and they're currently allies which share a common goal, which we can assume is gathering the gems scattered on the wasteland. He tells us not to touch or talk to the Wanderer, and especially not to try to look at what's under the cloak because it's beyond comprehension. And now, with him officially pacing around the island at this point, we need to speak about how the Wanderer first appeared in the story potentially years ago. During the Zero Crisis event back in Chapter 2 Season 6, there's a split second in it where a reality-distorting wave sweeps over the camera. Look around and you'll notice the game turns into reality. Everything's quality is enhanced, but also 3 characters are added. Each of these are praising the 0 point. But look close at the one dressed in a white cloak and you'll find what players are speculating to be the Wanderer 3 years before his initial release this season. Which takes us to the Wanderer's motive, what he truly seeks on the island, and what his purpose is. According to some of Megalodon's voice lines, the Wanderer wants to be left alone since he's doing research on the island, but the both of them actually share a common goal. This seems to be backed by Hope herself, who ever since she got access to Pandora's gems has been having visions in the form of dreams of Megalodon and the cloaked Wanderer working together. Megalo's plans for the island are pretty simple. Once he fuels his Leviathan ship, he's going to ravage the entire island, possibly splitting it into 2 until it's destroyed and he can finally leave it and move on to his next target. To get us there, we have to talk about the end of this season and how it all is going to end, and lucky for us, there's new Megalodon voice lines that reveal everything we need to know. He says that it's his birthday, but he has a grim wish, and that's for both Jones and Hope to both be eliminated after they stole his Pandora's gems, so he commands other Wastelanders to get out there and hunt them.
It is my birthday, and I know exactly the gift I wish of you. That broken has-been named Jones, and the charlatan artist calling herself Hope. They are collecting my precious baubles, my Pandora gems, and it is irritating. Those are mine. They cannot have them.
That's not the interesting part though, as he says something a lot more interesting that reveals exactly how this season's story will end. From the beginning, Megalo's plan has been to raise the island with his Leviathan ship, and confirming once again that this is exactly what he's gonna do, and once that's done, he'll set out for new horizons.
Once everything of value has been plundered, then I will seek new horizons to burn.
But as only a piece of his pipeline remains till that's possible, Megalodon menacingly claims that he's been assured of his success by a wise friend.
I have been assured of this by a wise friend.
This wise friend is of course none other than the Wanderer, who we've known to be working alongside Megalodon after Hope revealed they have similar goals. With the Wanderer being described as wise, there's no doubt that he has to be someone experienced with great knowledge and ability to predict the future given his faith in Megalodon's plan, and that someone can only be as powerful as Dr. Doom. The conclusion of this season's been foretold a long time ago, and it's all proceeding exactly like the Oracle said. Darkened skies and choking are going to take over the island as Megalodon's plans will unveil the moment the pipeline refuels his ship. And she also warned us of the Wanderer drawing near and that our real war will begin soon, this likely implying that we'll face the Wanderer in the Beware the Wanderer quests and possibly the war for the 0 point next season with Marvel heroes and villains on the island.
But your war has not yet begun. The Wanderer draws near.
There is also another prophecy told by the Oracle, and it warns us that something will happen to the protagonist of this chapter, Hope. The Oracle claimed that Hope would be so lost and found again, and so far this season we've seen this happen. She's been losing herself due to the visions from Pandora's gems, doing everything she can in order to acquire them.
Hope lost. and found again.
It's now been revealed the reason she was having these was because of the Oracle herself that was calling the Hope through Pandora's gems, because she knows how important Hope is to the prophecy. And all this comes down to Hope's true identity and her connection to Pandora's box. In the new voice lines, Megalodon claims that Hope only calls herself that.
And the charlatan artist calling herself Hope.
This has caused fans to theorize about what Hope is hiding, and the leading theory is that her true identity is Pandora. If you head over to the underworld and talk to Persephone, she'll instantly recognize Hope but doesn't fully reveal who she is and just wishes her luck. This proves her involvement in Greek myth and that the Olympians have known of her before, another hint at the fact that Hope might be Pandora. But the biggest giveaway of all is her obsession with finding the box itself after it vanished in Season 2's live event. At this point, everyone was wondering where Pandora's box was on the island, where it was hiding, and the answer seemed to be the gem holder artifact, which had been warning us of Doctor Doom, but it'll also help us locate the missing box, which has the power to turn the tide in next season's big battle. Even though Jones has warned Hope of the dangers that the box holds, she still believes that what she's doing with the Oracle on her side is right, and it's only a matter of time before Pandora's box is unleashed on the island again. Next season, there's a chance that we already know the plot due to a leak from Fortnite X Marvel comics that we never received. Let me explain. Well, a while back, shortly after the Zero War comic ended, there were rumors of another specific Fortnite X Marvel comic being worked on titled Order Restored. This comic was rumored to be worked on by Donald Mustard, Kevin Feige, who's responsible for all MCU films, and the actress for Miss Marvel. With Donald leaving Epic, the comic could have been scrapped, but some of its story was revealed to us, and fans think we might be seeing some of it in this Marvel season after all. Yes, according to the rumors, the story would have been set in the past, and it would have followed a new agent of the Imagined Order traveling through different realities to collect people and trap them inside the loop, giving us more backstory on the IO and what they were doing behind the scenes before defeated by the Seven. But in his travels, this IO agent would end up in Reality 616, which is of course Marvel, and we would see a lot of familiar heroes but also villains. This is where it gets crazy, as the comic would have set up one of the most interesting Fortnite villains, giving us a lot more context to the first appearance of Kato Thorne. Yes, the time-traveling vampire introduced in Chapter 4 Season 4 was initially going to make his first appearance inside that comic before his debut in-game. This isn't all though, because it was also supposed to have a big battle between him and Marvel's Collector, who you might remember having his own small POI in Chapter 2 Season 4. It would have made perfect sense for the two biggest collectors in the universe to have an epic battle, and this would have made Kato even cooler than he already was. That leaves us wondering, because Charlie Wren took over the making of the comic alongside Kevin Feige when Donald Mustard departed from Epic. So it's possible they both decided to scrap it and use its content as an entire Marvel season, making this the reason we're getting another one. And because Feige has a clear plan of all the Marvel movies, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to assume that the next Fortnite season focusing on Doctor Doom has an actual connection to the MCU and the Doom that we'll see on the big screen in just a few short years. It's unknown how much of the plot's been scrapped or what might have been saved for next season, but if any of it actually makes it into next season, it could imply the return of the IO and Kato Thorne, two powerful villains in the story. Before any of that happens though, towards the end of this season, Hope decides to finally confront her connection to Pandora's box and its gems, alongside the Oracle, who's returned after all the gems were placed on the gem holder, and it uncovers many mysteries. The Oracle goes on to reveal that the box should have destroyed Hope, but instead it's talking to her. It's shown Hope her deepest desires, which are none other than peace, harmony, and of course hope. But even she knows that this is a false promise, and that if she gives into it, it'll destroy her.
This box should destroy you, but instead, it talks to you. It promises me everything I've ever wanted. Peace, harmony, hope. I know that it's just showing me what I want to see. That if I give in, it'll destroy me.
Jones, who's also present, assures her that he knows her very well, and that will not happen. But it's what the Oracle says next that's a shocking reveal that some were already suspecting. Hope and the Pandora's box are indeed connected by fate and destiny. Hope was meant to be the Hope that remained at the bottom of the Pandora's box, just like in the actual myth. As she goes on to explain, it's quite literal, and it's the reason that Hope's been our main character ever since Chapter 5 Season 1.
Hope and this box, they're linked by the cycles of time and destiny eternal. You were meant to be the Hope at the bottom of Pandora's box. It's literally your name.
This is where it gets even more interesting, because it's possible that Hope now has her own unique set of superpowers. In this brand new spray they added to the update, we can see Hope holding the Oracle's water form in her hand. It's a poetic way to make Hope's powers related to water opposite to her sisters, showcasing the contrast between the two, as one's meant to heal but the other destroy. It is, however, when Hope mentions that she's been secretly talking to a certain character that things start to become clearer, even uncovering the Wanderer's cloak once and for all. She's been having conversations with Magneto after he came looking for her. Jones, of course, does not trust him, but Magneto's discovered something strange. If you previously asked him if he'd seen anything strange on the island, he would give hints towards the Wanderer's mysterious appearances. But now, in a new dialogue, his suspicions are starting to be confirmed, and this line of dialogue officially confirms the Wanderer has been Doctor Doom the entire time, and we'll touch on his newly revealed goals very soon. With the Wanderer seemingly confirmed as Doctor Doom, we received info on his plans and what he's been looking for on the island all along. The Oracle tells Hope that the Wanderer's tampered with the fate, linking her to Pandora's box. He's so powerful that his mere presence on the island has rewritten the stars themselves, lining up with Doom's level of power and the fact that there's a mysterious aura around him. So now, attempting to close the box itself isn't gonna be enough. The Wanderer being Doom was teased all along. His white cloak is almost identical to the one from God Emperor Doom, a skin that we even have in game right now. God Emperor Doom in the comics is the strongest version of Doctor Doom. His plans in the comics were to create Battle World, fusing many realities into a big one, so fans theorized that he may want to use Reality Zero, our very island, as the location for his new fused reality. To do that though, he's gonna need a very powerful artifact. We initially thought that the Wanderer was after the 0 point, but it turns out that it's Pandora's box that he's been trying to find on the island. That's Doctor Doom's goal, and the box has connected the fates of every villain in the chapter so far, and we can only imagine what Doom is gonna do since he was consumed by the box's power himself, as stated by the Oracle. Even Magneto's afraid of what Doom may do when he seizes Pandora's box. Therefore, just as was prophesied by the Oracle in Season 2, Hope needs to go to war against the Wanderer to defeat him for good. She assures us she can do it and that she doesn't need to stand alone, as all loopers will follow her lead. So we're gonna go to war, and we must win at all costs. Speaking of which, another war which we had is now being referenced, teasing the last reality's grand return. If you ask Jones on his thoughts about the fate of the island, he says the island's been doomed before, even by a mystical box-shaped villain. This is a reference to the cube in Chapter 1 who almost exploded the island, according to Dr. Sloan in the Operation Skyfire event. It could also reference Chapter 2 Season 8, where the entire island was corrupted by the cube, so this could be a slight teaser to their return, as they would need something as powerful as Pandora's box. If the last reality does indeed return, they might seek the power of Pandora's box's nitro in order to bring back their own. In the Fracture event, the Herald sacrificed herself and chromed everything that was on the island, including herself, in the process merging with the reality tree. But after that, in Chapter 4 Season 1, she was spotted merged with the decayed reality tree, but she was quickly lost when the ground on the Chapter 4 map collapsed, making room for the jungle. The where she went afterwards is unknown, but there's a skin in the survey that looks almost identical to her, except she looks fossilized with some orbs. This is most likely how she's going to return, with the power of Nitro and Pandora's box bringing her back to be much stronger. The last reality came to our island through a giant rift, and now we've seen what the inside of rifts look like. Before the event actually happens though, we have to talk about Hope taking over Megalodon's radio transmissions that have been going on throughout the entire season.
If you see the Wanderer, do not engage. I don't know what's coming, but it's not pretty.
She doesn't know what's coming, but things are gonna get bad very soon. However, she does say that no matter what, she will lead us in the upcoming war against him, as we're only doomed once we surrender, again hinting at Doctor Doom being the big antagonist in Season 4.
No matter what comes next, we will fight it. We're never doomed until we surrender.
In another transmission, she mocks Megalodon after she hijacked his transmissions, letting everyone on the island know that we're back to our regular program and won't be hearing more from Megalo.
I'm the big shark man! Don't worry, friends. We're back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Again, she warns of an impending doom on the island and is really frustrated with how every time we knock a villain out, 2 more emerge right behind them.
Bit of a warning though, things might get pretty bad on the island soon. Why is it every time you knock over a villain, 2 more always pop up right behind him?
A callback, of course, to the fact that we defeated the Society's crime bosses, the King of Olympus, Zeus himself, and soon will face Megalodon's wrath, as well as Doctor Doom, who has, for now, assured him that the plan will be succeeding. And so it begun. In the last stand for the island, Megalodon was just about to activate his Leviathan ship and completely annihilate everything in his path. But in Season 3's live event, just as the ship was getting refueled, something strange started to happen. The pipeline was hacked by Doctor Doom himself, revealing him to be the Wanderer and betraying Megalodon, who he had promised success to. Doom blew up the entire pipeline and the chain reaction reached Redline Rig. In a massive explosion, the rig blew up and revealed Pandora's box underneath, hidden in a small lake filled with nitro. Nitro. After it disappeared in last season's mini event by becoming a massive burst of energy and jumping right into the ocean, creating the sandstorm in the wasteland biome, both the Wanderer and Hope have been looking for Pandora's box. But the mystery has now been solved. It's now confirmed the liquid inside the box's orb had been Nitro the whole time, and the Wastelanders built the rig on top of the box to have unlimited amounts of it to refuel the Leviathan. This takes us to Season 4 storyline, where we witness Doctor Doom stealing Pandora's box's powers and becoming more powerful than he ever was. In this season, Jones and Hope will take a stand against him alongside many Marvel heroes in a battle that'll shake the entire universe, leading to Chapter 2 OG and Chapter 6 right after. The story of Season 4, titled Absolute Doom, begins with the Wanderer officially revealing himself as Doctor Doom, but this time it's a different one than the one we saw in Nexus War. In the aftermath of the event, Doom gets exposed to Pandora's box and opens it, absorbing all the godly powers within, becoming one of the most powerful versions of himself. He then proceeds to go on a recruiting spree, gathering allies from both the Fortnite and Marvel universe as he builds his empire on the island. Against him are Hope and Jones, who have taken action themselves in order to join the war and oppose the forces of Doom. Jones is now put on the suit of Captain America, leading us into battle alongside Hope and Peely, who's been transformed into Peelverine after the Weapon X lab bunker did experiments on him in Season 3. Alongside them will be multiple heroes from Marvel's universe that have joined them after Magneto called for reinforcements, and we'll get to them right now. Fighting alongside them will be Shuri, who came really close with Jones during the Fortnite X Marvel Zero War comics, War Machine, Gwenpool, the X-Men, and we're soon expecting more to join the fight, just like the Fantastic Four. And just when we thought we'd completely solved the Oracle's prophecy, a huge twist has taken place, revealing what she actually meant all along. We thought initially the darkened skies and choking dust meant the sandstorm that brought the wasteland and the wastelanders with it, but in reality it's Doom who's gonna lead to that. Inside of his castle POI, there's a huge chimney that's spewing what many theorize to be Nitro. Since we now know the Pandora's box created Nitro, it's very possible that Doom has taken Nitro for himself, and what he'll do with it will result with darkened skies as seen in the Absolute Doom launch trailer. Like and subscribe because things are gonna get hectic.